Welcome to Inside Voice, your behind-the-scenes take on the $150 billion home care industry. Here, it's not about the loudest voices or even polished headlines. It's about real stories, real challenges, and real insights from those shaping care every day. Join us as we cut through the noise, explore trends, and uncover what it takes to truly make a difference of the lives of those we care about. Inside Voice. Today on the Inside Voice, I'm thrilled to welcome one of our top producing location owners, Dan and Jordana Masserman. As owners and operators of Preferred Care at Home of Westchester and Putnam, as well as Tucson and Central Arizona, this husband and wife powerhouse has spent over a decade at the helm. What sets them apart isn't just their 10-year success, but their ability to scale, growing not just one, but multiple multi-million-dollar locations. I'm excited to dive in to learn exactly how they've been able to do it. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And welcome to the Inside Voice.
Nice.
Hey, listen, one of the things that I just want to start out with is, in a perfect world, everyone grows their location, gets it to a place where they feel like it's good, and then the thought comes, maybe it's time to open up another one in a new location.
Across the country, really far away from home.
Yeah. Well, right. And maybe not that exactly, but I do want to dive into that. How did you guys know that your operations and your skill set were ready to take on that next adventure of opening up a second location?
So I'm going to start by saying I think Dan and I have always thrived off of chaos. Like, we just like doing things really out of the ordinary and taking risks. So...
Yeah. I mean, I don't think no one looks at their business and goes, hey, we're at the perfect spot to do something big. I don't think there is a perfect spot. I think if any of us look at our business, honestly, there's things we do really well and things that we don't, and things that we want to work on and things that we want to change. And you're going to constantly do that. So if you're waiting for that specific sign or that trigger, I think it's different for everybody. For us, we were looking for an opportunity to do a lot of different things that we weren't doing in New York, and venturing to Arizona gave us that opportunity. So big leap as it was, we were like, this is going to give us the opportunity to try something crazy different, and let's give it a swing. Yeah. And so that's what it was.
I think it's important for the listeners to understand that these aren't just two operations that you have that are somewhat, thrive or doing okay. These are thriving locations that are producing multi-million dollars, one in New York and the other on the other side of the US in Arizona. You can't be two places at once. These are very two different types of cultures that you're walking into. Yep. How have you been able to get in there, create operations that look into the specific pain points and cultures of these locations and be able to address those in the way that you guys have been able to do that? How have you been able to step into that role?
I think you hit it right on the head. They're not just different states. They're not just different coasts. They're not just different time zones. They are culturally, work ethic wise, even state government and administratively oversight wise. Right. They could not be more different. Biggest thing is learning kind of what those differences were. And honestly, there was a lot of trial and error. And, just when you think you figure it out, you realize you don't really have it, because we're trying to compete with other owners in the space, in the market, that have been doing this in that spot, live there, know this market for years and years. And we're trying to come in and take our solid processes and copy paste them into a different market and hope that it works, but then constantly tweak and adjust.
For the most part, does it work?
I mean, I think it was a struggle for us for sure initially, and now we're kind of getting into a groove. Does it really work? Copy and paste? No, because it is very different. Market.
No, you can't copy paste a process. I mean, look, if you're going up the road, and you're buying a neighboring territory, it's a lot different. Same county, same state, same everything. But to copy paste a process, I don't think it's just that simple.
Do you mind giving me a specific example?
I do, actually. I'm thinking about something very specific. There's this thing in Arizona called Spotlight, and it's basically all of home care, like all your competitors in one room, and you're basically talking about your business. And it was just so bizarre for Dan and I to get involved in this, because we were like, why would you go into a room of your competitors and talk about what you're doing? Like, that seems like just such a bizarre concept. But I don't know, for whatever reason, like the community there is very different, and like it's like you're sharing ideas with your competitors.
It's a senior organization, so it's the design of the organization is to gather businesses that are senior focused, and they produce this magazine for seniors. So it's like, so everybody wants to be a part of it. So it produces this environment, which is very strange, but you know, it's somewhat collaborative. It's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I bet it's easier. I mean, I shouldn't say I bet it's easier, but the shock factor of going from Arizona to New York, expanding that direction, would probably be greater than from New York down to Arizona, because it sounds like, from the example you gave, Arizona's a little bit more friendly.
That's what it is, because we come with this different pace, this different drive, and it's good for us because we can get a lot done, but at the same time we can...
like things are much slower in Arizona that we're not used to, right?
It sometimes rubs people the wrong way. They're like, okay, we'll get to it. Or like, this year, like, what are we doing? So it's, you know.
One of the exciting questions I have for you that I know every listener here wants to know. You, like most of preferred care at home and home care agencies across America, started out as strictly private pay. You've heard about Medicaid and maybe what other locations are doing, and then the VA federal going up. And you guys have not only thought about payment diversification, but you've been able to do it and implement it. So my question is pretty simple. How was that process, getting from private pay, strictly private, to diversifying? And where do you see the future of home care for your locations going when it comes to that payment diversification?
So I think the biggest thing about going to Arizona was that opportunity for us to be able to say, we are able to offer a tremendous amount more services because of the way the administration oversees the state. So that was kind of in our minds, that this is going to be, we're going to take our 1-lane highway and expand it to, you know, a super highway. So, you know, understanding the process of getting our credential and how we wanted to layer it. What was the first service that we wanted first? Because you're going to expend a lot of capital to do this. So let's talk about Medicaid for a second. You're talking about state or federal funding. That's going to have a delay. So 30, 60, whatever it is, you need working capital to do that. We also offer developmental disability, which comes with the state services as well. 30, 60, you know what I'm saying? So having that capital. So our first thing is, if we're going to add all these services, where are we getting paid the fastest? And what we found was the VA. If you credential properly, if you layer properly and have all of your homework done right, when you go live, you could get paid within 2 to 3 weeks. We've perfected it down. We're getting paid within 7 days.
Wow.
So building the VA first was critical, not only to raise our average billable rate for our KPIs, but to then build that cash flow. So at $43.12 federally, I mean, we're hustling for every hour. We've grown with the VA so rapidly because we will take what no one will take. I mean, they started by saying, okay, you're new. We're going to give you whatever we can give you. I said, I'll take anything you got. Give me your hardest case. And they gave us 4 hours in the middle of the desert. And
they said, okay.
They said, game on. So we said, okay, challenge accepted. And we serviced it for a year. He finally just went into an assisted living. And we still lean on that like, you tested us right out of the gate. And we knocked it out. So doing
that's why he keeps giving you like the relationship that we've built with.
This is like a VA case manager at a VA hospital?
Yeah, every campus is different throughout the country, so every process is different. But we've kind of fine-tuned it with this one person who is just funneling cases to us, just funneling. But that was our first step in layering. So coming back to all the services, the VA building that cash flow, which enabled us to say, okay, now we're going to do Medicaid. Medicaid, as we build, you know, we're accepting as we watch our numbers. So knowing your numbers and knowing what you can absorb, also knowing submitting properly. Are you going to have a third-party biller? Are you going to bill through your software system, or are you going to do it yourself in-house? Understanding all those steps has helped us layer properly. And I think that has helped us not kind of put a strain on us operationally, financially, and so on.
And you guys are still keeping the private pay side running as usual.
Absolutely.
So everything else is just
never take your foot off the gas
revenue.
of private pay.
Right.
Never take your foot off the gas of private pay. Because don't get me wrong, the VA is wonderful and it's a high billable rate. If I shifted all of the team's energy into the VA and we just ignored private pay, if all of a sudden a veteran goes, I don't like you anymore, I want a new agency, they control that right with their authorization, and your hours could plummet, just like a private pay case could say, I'm giving you my 2 weeks notice. So I think we don't take our foot off the gas of anything. We are purposefully keeping our case mix where we feel comfortable.
What has been the hardest out of those, I guess, two to get going in your office? Has it been the Medicaid side or has it been VA? What took more legwork getting set up?
Wow. Relationship, Medicaid.
Because you're trying to develop relationships with the MCOs?
So you have to have your contracts with your MCOs, but the case managers, so everyone is different. So I can only use Arizona as an example.
Yeah.
So the biggest provider in Tucson, Banner Health, didn't want relationships with their people, so there was conflict of interest. So they partnered with a company called Rovicare, and they have this portal. So the case managers just dump stuff into the portal, and it's like, going to the clearance rack at a bridal show where everybody's on wedding dress day, 50% off, and people are just fighting for everything. So it's like it is fastest to it, fastest to respond, fastest to the client, fastest for the client to then say, I want them. So there's a lot of steps where there's a lot of providers.
But Medicaid, much like VA, client still does have the choice if the provider's in network. Have you guys ever been able to, because of your private pay skill set, talk to a client through a referral and say, here's the route to go, and then when you get to that place, ask for preferred care home or a network?
We do that more than, so the majority of our Medicaid, and I'd say about 60% of our VA comes from that, where we are literally walking people in at the beginning, and they're going into, for the VA, their PAC team or Medicaid with their social worker, saying, this is the agency I want to use. We have clients and private pay leads that say, I can't afford your services, I'm looking for Medicaid. And then we turn around and we partner with someone who will go through that Medicaid process with them. He has a business where he takes a fee, but he'll fast track you and walk you through and get you expedited through to Medicaid, and then they come back to us.
Yeah.
So that is always more for anything self-generated is always going to be a much higher value.
We have clients too that have all of them. They're private pay, they're Medicaid and VA, right? Like we take hours of where we are billing different.
Yeah, we do have multiple. There are certain services that can't be stacked, and certain ones that can. But we have two that we call it the trifecta. They are private pay, VA, and aid and attendance. So because they qualify for aid and attendance, we have a partner that we use for that. They qualify them for the max. They have a VA authorization, and they also have some private pay hours. For me, at that point, there's nothing more that I could offer you. And that means we have absolutely maximized their capacity.
Yeah.
And now it's just about volume of hours, which if we can maximize service capacity on half of our clients, I mean, that we're just growing without actually having to grow.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important for the listeners to understand, we have two of our, both of those locations would be considered top producers in the franchise system. If we were to combine those locations that you guys operate, you'd be number 2. So what you guys have been able to do at these locations is extremely impressive. We're looking at New York. New York is strictly private pay for the most part.
Yeah, long-term care insurance.
And long-term care insurance.
Yeah.
Was the idea, and you kind of hinted to it, of going to Tucson was to operate a business a little bit differently, add different types of payers in here, duplicate process that you guys have refined into a new location. Was that the idea of Tucson? And Central Arizona?
Not initially.
Not initially. Yeah, well, yes and no, because yes, the idea was if we're going to take this leap, that we have a good handle on how we do things and what works and what clients respond to. And learning the market, we were like, ooh, they're responding to different things. What we did here doesn't work there.
Right.
But yeah, that was the idea, that if we're going to take this leap, that what we're doing should be transferable.
I guess the reason why I asked that question is we may have listeners who are at, a billable hour where they feel like, okay, I think I would like to expand.
Yeah.
Would something you would recommend to consider is, hey, look at the state Medicaid reimbursement, check to see Optum or TriWest if their enrollment is
100%.
open, because these are things that if you can open up your location and immediately get into these type of payer sources, hey, those are tools in the tool bag that are super helpful when not only when it comes to growing your location, but let's talk about caregivers, right? I'm assuming these different payment diversification options have allowed you guys to give hours and work to caregivers who are coming off shifts, private paying shifts, keep them, retain them. We do have a caregiver problem here, but I think one of the biggest problems is the inconsistent work sometimes. And so we have a caregiver that has full-time work that's paycheck to paycheck. That client passes away or goes to another continuum. And now, we don't have work for them. Has these payment diversification options in Tucson allowed you guys to be able to retain?
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's also allowed us to make changes too when this happens, right? When we talk about we have our meetings about okay, so things have changed in a senior and a client, right? Or we lost someone, and then we kind of pivot from caregivers and kind of upgrade, based on what's going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their caregivers on a bell curve. I mean, you want to have your top 20% working 80% of their working hours, and that's something that we kind of learned as we've evolved is rank your caregivers and know how many hours they want and how many hours they're capable of. And if you've ranked your caregivers, then your top 20% of your caregivers should be working at least 80% of the hours that they want. That will keep them happy and retain them. Yes, as clients come off and as caregivers become available, you're like, we got to get that person to work right away. But the more services you have, yes, the more hours you have.
Yeah.
Adding those tools to the toolbox, though, the easiest way to expand, I mean, if you think about it, everybody wants to grow, it's the base mentality is add more clients, add more clients, add more clients. Add more services because you're going to generate more revenue for what your existing client base is. Or you're going to add people that you didn't know you could add. That's the fastest way to grow without having to revamp your process.
Sure. Let's stay on caregivers. We've already established that you guys have 2 large locations. Caregivers can sometimes feel like they're just a number with some of these larger locations. I know something you guys have been extremely focused in on and intentional with is caregiver retention and appreciation. So how have you been able to make a caregiver feel like they're connected to a home office even though you guys are at such large scale?
It's something I'm really passionate about. So, and it's so different too, the locations, because in New York, we don't have an office. So there's nowhere for them to really come into. So I go out into the home and see them and bring them things. And we have holiday parties, or we've been sponsoring Relay for Life for 10 years now. So doing these things, and we're coming up on 10 years of operating in New York. So we're actually having a big party this summer to celebrate that. So I'm really excited about planning
That's
that.
Awesome.
But for Arizona, because we have an office, that's really exciting. That I was really excited about when we were going out there. So in November, we partnered with United Way and did a caregiver appreciation party. They came in, we put out a big spread, had goodie bags and everything. And then just in March, we did another, because March 3rd is National Caregiver Appreciation Day. So we did another party and, did goodie bags for their kids. So they came in, had lunch with us. And it's kind of a way for our staff to kind of have a relationship with our caregivers, because ultimately, like, we wouldn't have this business if we didn't have our caregivers.
Right.
And that's why we appreciate them so much, because we can't do what we need to do
without them.
Yep.
Yeah. So you guys are very intentional about actually personal one-on-one connection with your caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal. I would say a lot of people think it's, maybe just a virtual e-card or rewards, which I think you guys do as well.
Yeah.
But when your face lights up and you're like, I get to go in the home and I get to see them, I get to connect with them. Why do you think that's so impactful? Do you think it's a lost art in our industry?
I mean, I don't know like how many owners like are really like involved into seeing their caregivers and their clients, but I know for me, I feel way more connected to my business when I'm actually in the home and I see the caregivers and I say, oh, how are your kids? What's going on? We give each other hugs. Like, I feel like that connection is what makes them want to like not call out or be there, or like just like not lie about certain things. I don't know, like
when they need something, be able to come to you instead
absolutely.
Right?
And that too, like we had a situation recently where a caregiver really needed help and I gave her my personal phone number and everything. And like, I don't know, she's been with me for eight years, like I know she knows my kids. I know her kids. Like,
yeah.
I think the theme that Jordana has driven from the very beginning that we've tried to, instill in the Arizona team is the buy-in. And the buy-in that Jordana has to them is equal to what they give back to her and to us. We have a care coordinator that goes and does these visits daily. Like she's out in the homes too. And Selena is she's been in this industry 15 years, former caregiver, former director. Like she knows she can walk in and roll up her sleeves and change a diaper, or she can coach to how to do the T-Snow method for dementia care. Like these are the things, having someone that goes into the home that has that buy-in gets the caregivers to be bought in with you. And yes, we do have Caribou, so there's constant recognition in addition to the visits to reinforce constant reinforcement of engagement, because that's the more your office engages with your caregivers, the more they're going to be bought in and engage with you.
Sure. And you said something that I think is important. I want to kind of zoom in a little bit. You make visits to your clients' houses. Obviously, it's 2 for 1. You're getting to connect with the caregiver. We're talking about it from the caregiver side. How have you seen that pay dividends as well from the client side? A recent report this past year, the most recent data we have is existing clients, referrals create over 52% of total revenue in home care. So by far, the single biggest revenue is referrals from existing clients or past clients and family members. Have you been able to see that from your business? I mean, if anyone was to be able to see that probably from their New York location, it would be you being so involved in making all those visits. Do you care to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, that is true. A few of our clients, they're always, I ask them personally, like, can I give out your cell phone for a referral, like reference? And they're always, willing to get on the phone for them. I don't even have to ask them every time anymore. I just give it out. But this one client, I think this last month gave me 3.
Wow.
Just in the last month. And I've closed them.
It's like, a surreal, it's a surreal
thing. It's also longevity too. Like if I have a relationship with this person, some of my clients I've had since before COVID, and I'm servicing them. Yeah, maybe they started out as companion, just like doing the minimum 12 hours, but now we're doing, 24 hours, and that's over 5 years. That's a lot of revenue.
And they've referred 3 other clients.
Yes.
In 1 month.
Exactly.
Something that's unique about New York, and this is something that, is a testament to this process, is we don't focus on, or early on, we didn't focus on minimums where it was this many hours, this many shifts, because we were trying to grow, we were trying to build relationships, and it was about caring and let's do what we need to do. And there are clients who have been with us 7, 8, 9 years, 10 years, because we started with them at whatever it was that they needed. And the mentality sometimes is, I'm sorry if you don't hit our 12-hour minimum, or if you don't hit this many hours per shift. And we kind of brought that out to Arizona as well, where other agencies are like, nope, this is our minimum. All right, listen, you only need 2 hours a day. If we can find a way to make it work, we'll find a way to make it work. And when you show them that you're bought into them, they're going to come back and grow with you and stay with you, and then tell their friends. They're so flexible. They're so easy to work with. They're great. They're this, they're that.
And I think something else a lot of agencies overlook are like respite cases, because I've had a lot of cases where they just need like post-operative care for just a week or two, and then something else happens and they call me back 2 years later, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much for thinking of me again. You know, I'm really glad that you were happy with our services, and then we service them for something else. You know, like. So
we've had serviced wives and they've passed away, or vice versa. And then years later, the husband or the opposite needs care, and the daughter calls, you were so great with my mom, now my dad needs you, or vice versa. That I find, as much as the client referral base, that return is I see a lot of, on the back end.
And you don't get that if you're not making those in-person visits. I mean, you're just not getting it, because they feel they've made a connection with you guys in your home office. You mentioned Selena. They feel connected. And so I think in an increasingly software AI-driven business where we're able to automate things, which I think is amazing. Yeah. Which it sounds like you guys have done. It allows us to be even more present. Don't allow it to be more distant. Right. It's freed us up to have maybe more time than we ever had before to make those visits. And hey, here's the good news. Those visits is what not only creates caregiver retention and trust, but also client referrals.
And we do a lot. So Arizona has opened up the opportunities, a ton of 55 plus communities. So our care team manager, Ashley, goes out to these events and she brings, she always says, everybody says we bring the best swag. So she goes out to these events and everyone knows, they're like, oh, it's the lady with the stuff. And they come, oh, you got to meet this lady. Come see her. And she just is holding court with all of these people. And they're like, my neighbor needs you. Come here, come meet my neighbor. And it's like, she goes to these events and people drag her all over to these, like, they're not even clients and they're referring. It's truly wild, the connection that we make.
So speaking of connection, how have you guys been able to connect with the daily wins of, let's say we're in New York, the daily wins of Tucson and the daily struggles of Tucson with your management team without being, overbearing. Yeah, exactly. You're not there.
Yeah, we're not there.
But you're not micromanaging and calling, but you're still engaged. How has that balance worked? Because I think that has to be one of the biggest struggles, where you got to trust them, but you want to let them know that you're here for help if they need it.
All right. You don't ask them, but I'll answer for them. I'm great at that. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that's a struggle, whether you're in person or afar.
Yes.
I think that having a phone system that allows us to see what's going on is helpful and hurtful at the same time. I think it's a trial by fire. The more the office staff has continued to show us that they've got it. I mean, they are just, our staff out there is getting stronger and stronger every day, and we keep evolving. And they are so good at, solving problems in unique ways. They're getting better at thinking outside the box and kind of knowing how we would do things. They don't come to us, this is the problem, what do we do? I mean, 2 years ago, maybe, but now we're at a point where this is what happened, like on these checkups. This is what happened. This is what we did. Are you good with this?
Well, I think we also have the right person in the role this time, finally.
Oh, yeah.
That's managing.
Our care team manager has 7 years in the Tucson market running a right at home, of 3,000 hours plus. She expanded that location, that area into Nevada for them remotely. Like, we have the right manager in the seat who understands what to do. And I think for me, who's really much more into the day to day, it gives me a lot of confidence that I don't have to do that. And I think for Jordana's piece, it allows her to focus on the aspects of the business that she's working without having to worry that, oh man, this is not being handled. Oh no, Dan, is this being handled? Like we don't have to do that as much anymore.
Yeah, I don't have to do the like, like it's like remember when I asked you something like did they do this, and you're like, yeah, that was done like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh, this is such a weird feeling. Like I have a staff that I can trust, like that I don't have to do the follow-up. Like it's such a weird feeling too, because as a one-person show for so long in New York, it's been a lot to have to let go.
Yeah. So I do have a question on this, and this is something that we see a lot of the time. There's really 3 phases to this industry and this business. It's the baby, which is kind of what you're talking about, where it's your baby.
Yeah, my baby.
And you do it all.
It still is.
It still is.
She can't let go.
I know. It's hard.
Okay,
It's
so,
hard.
right, and you're doing it all, and right. It encompasses your whole life.
Yeah.
Then you get to the business stage, and you're still heavily involved in certain areas of the business, and now you have help. Maybe you have a scheduler, or recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the third jump, which is the hardest jump we see business owners making, which is going from that business to the company.
Yeah.
Where now you have a full staff, and you have like a COO managing the day-to-day, and now you're managing that person who's managing the day-to-day.
Right.
That is the hardest step to see, probably because we don't have the right person in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also attributes that we see in owners where there's no willingness to let them make mistakes. Like we've made mistakes, right? You gave yourself, we've given ourselves grace because we're trying to figure this out. But I guess I want to ask you guys, how have you been able to make, because it sounds like, and it looks like revenue wise, Tucson has made that jump in Central Arizona. How have you guys been able to navigate that? And what does that look like?
It's a lot. It's a lot of trust, obviously, like you have to be able to like open up and just be like, okay, I'm handing this off. And I hope.
Do you see how she's struggling just to say those words?
It's so
it is
hard.
incredibly difficult
I could cry
because
right now. Like, it's so hard.
it will always be Jordana's baby, and she crafted it from thin air, basically.
Mm-hmm.
She took a starter and
Built it.
and grew it into what it is, and the offshoots from the spin-off episode, sitcoms. Right. The key is having the right people, and legitimately every jump we've made in New York, revenue-wise, hours-wise, process-wise, every major correction spike we've had in Tucson were people driven. So when we took over Tucson and Central Arizona, it was so much work to correct previous damage done. And we had to literally turn a barge. So it was, hitting the brakes and then making the pivot. So finding the right people that understood the direction that they couldn't see, it was the hardest part. So finally having the right people has enabled us to have that mentality. I don't have to manage 10 people. I can manage one person, and that person I trust to manage these people. And she doesn't have to sit there and do scheduling because we have a scheduling coordinator and we have a manager who manages the scheduling and so on and so forth.
Yeah. You guys set up the infrastructure, and then you got a right person in place knowing that they're set up for success.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's not just about hiring somebody to fix all of your processed issues, right? I'm going to hire you to fix my problems. No, the problems need to be fixed. And you hired somebody who's efficient to be able to manage already efficient processes.
And let's say on top of that, nothing is perfect. The process is always going to have things that have to be fixed. We do micromanage. We do jump in and schedule. There is no scenario where we've got this so set that we're like, man, we really got this online. Like we're
also people change too. Like
we're constantly tweaking this.
Yeah, like there's situational things that are going on too that may not have someone perform the way we thought they would or should, because life happens.
Exactly.
So you have to pivot and be accommodating to those needs too, right? Because we're all just people, right?
We're trying to get better to get to that company standpoint.
Yeah. And the thing is, we're in a business where we're called into homes where chaos has just happened. Mom has fallen. She's broken her hip. I always say we're not getting phone calls when people are on the way to the water park and they're thinking, oh, let's set up some home care.
Yeah.
The first question we always ask is we uncover the need. Why have you called today? So enter into that situation is what we're operating on a daily basis as well. It's pretty high stress.
Yeah.
And if the processes aren't always right and things are breaking down, it becomes very stressful for our team. And so there has to be constant oversight and management, even when you're at that company level.
Well, I want to say also too, at the company level, I think it's important, obviously, having corporate support, having also business consultation that has helped us grow and kind of manage ourselves and our
following people on Instagram, reading. There's a million resources out there for business owners, and we will literally absorb every piece of valuable content we can.
Your willingness to continue to grow as an individual and leader. And that's what that comes down to.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. When we're successful, we think I got all the answers, I'm good enough. But I think you guys are prime examples of no, we need to continue to get better every single day, even as successful owner and leaders.
If you as an owner think that your way is the right way and everyone needs to fall in line with your way, you will not continue to be successful, because you don't know where the next great idea or the next pivot is going to come from. It could be a caregiver who suggests something, and we've had that in Arizona and in New York. Somebody suggests something and we're like, that is a much better way to do that. And we have altered processes because of it.
Yeah.
You just don't know. You have to be open to whatever's coming.
We're going to clip that and put that on the YouTube channel there. Unfortunately, it's a Michigan M and not a Tennessee T.
It never will be. That's the defending national champions, baby.
Still a good clip. All right, last question for you guys. If you could go back to the day you opened up your second location, what is one thing you would have done right away that you know now avoids a lot of headaches if properly put in place?
Yeah, I'm never really prepared for this question.
We've often said run. No,
No, all the red flags that were coming at us, we should have just, but no, it was a lot. Yeah, I don't know.
What would we have done different day one? There's so many things.
Yeah.
I think knowing what we know now, if I knew it then, how we staffed out of the gate and who sat in what chair based on who was in the office at the time, I think would have changed our trajectory a little bit from the beginning. I think we certain people in that office could have sustained if they were in different seats, if there was a different person in our management chair. I think a lot of things could have gone different, but I think really it's everybody has that person that like, I really like this person, but I hate how they do this. Pivot them. Maybe they're a great fit for your office. They're not a great fit for the seat that they're in. And I think that's probably, for me, going back to day one in 23, that's probably what I would have done. I would have shuffled the seats a little bit.
Well, I mean, I would say since hindsight is 2020, I think we would have just cleaned house because none of those people are with us.
Wow.
Like zero
from day
of those
one,
people.
yes. From from that first day in March of 23, no one's left. But that's also over 3 years ago, and that's a natural turnover. But there was also some house cleaning.
I think it's also hard because we came from completely different management, So
I don't know that we would have cleaned house.
we couldn't have because we couldn't have.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have been doing everything.
We would have been living there still.
Yeah.
We wanted to leave.
Well, listen, I just want to thank you guys for coming on, sharing what you guys have been willing to share. I think this is really helpful for a lot of listeners just to understand that roadmap and even ultimately the struggles of growing very successful locations. The speed bumps and the hurdles you guys have to overcome probably feel similar to the pain points that maybe even smaller locations are feeling. They're just at a larger scale. You're just dealing with bigger numbers, but the pain points are similar.
Can I give a small scale location piece of advice?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Big location problems are not unique to small locations like you just said. Small locations, because it's smaller teams, it's easier to fix. Don't avoid them. Steer right into them and solve your problem right then and there. Fix your process. Think about what you want this process to look like, not now, what you want it to look like when you're not at 500 hours, when you're at 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours. Build the process now for what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan and Jordana. Thank you for being on the Inside Voice and being willing to share what you guys have been able to share.
Oh,
High five.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, hitting that like button really helps the channel grow. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop. We're here every other Wednesday at 8 a.m. sharp. See you in the next one. Inside Voice.